numbers have always held a special place in baseball. Retired numbers, batting averages, home run totals. More than any other sport, baseball's numbers serve as a benchmark for debate and greatness. Let's talk about two numbers forever ingrained in a city and small Caribbean island. Two numbers, 21 and 50. Numerology describes 21 as the angel number. It represents protection, comfort, and patience during a transitional period and a forthcoming new chapter. It is also considered an invitation to celebrate life's milestones. And it was 50 years ago when Clemente boarded a twin-engine prop plane in Puerto Rico on New Year's Eve. He was flying off to offer aid to earthquake victims in Nicaragua. The plane crashed with no survivors. Clemente's body was never found. 50 years later, the Roberto Clemente Museum, based in an old firehouse in Pittsburgh, serves as a shrine to a human who pushed himself to excel on and off the baseball diamond. Curator Duane Rieder saw the museum develop out of divine symbols. What started out as a photo project revealed itself as something more mystical. So we are in a gem of Pittsburgh, which is the Clemente Museum, here with Duane Rieder, founder of the Clemente Museum. Duane, thank you for being here with us.
You're welcome. Love doing this kind of thing and talking to people about this place.
How did all of this come about?
None of this was planned or preconceived. It all just kind of just came up out of my photography business. I'm a commercial photographer, and I was lucky to get picked to do this calendar on Roberto Clemente back in 1994 when I'm buying this old fire station. And this, like I say, this just all evolved. People come in and go, oh, dude, I want to see your business plan. There was no plan. This was just, and I tell people, I think it was Roberto Clemente watching over this property because everything is geared towards Roberto. The date that the building was vacated, the 21-inch steel wall that we just cut through here to get into this part of the building was 21 inches. And it was like, how can that be? And so I knew I had to do something a little more than just have an archive of photos. And kind of stepped up our game and added some stuff to it.
What made you want to follow through with the Clemente Museum and making this old firehouse and turn it into what is now one of the most popular Clemente museums in Pittsburgh?
Just trying to help the widow, his widow Vera Clemente. My heart went out for her when, Roberto's gone and she's raising the kids and things that are, a lot of the photos and memorabilia that was in the Clemente house was getting ruined by tropical storms. And so I just started helping her with photographs that led then to putting photographs with paperwork. So I started collecting documents of his life here in Pittsburgh with the Pirates and just started kind of putting things together to tell a story. And then Vera rolls into town with the Clemente boys in 2006 and they asked me to host a party for the All-Star game. And so I was so excited because she said that we were going to have the food and the wine and the dancing on the first floor. And I was like, dancing?
Made you nervous?
We're gonna be dancing? And she was like, well, yeah, we're Puerto Rican. We dance and sing. And I'm like, oh, I want to be a part of this party. And I really wanted to make this incredible party for her. Right. And so I redesigned the whole first floor of my photography studio into what is the Clemente Museum today.
For that party?
Just for the party.
Right.
And then when she was here, she was like, Duane, it's like a museum here now.
And then they adopted you into their family.
They said I was now family.
Yes.
Just because I helped with photographs. And I was like, wow, that was easy and fun. And so I just wanted to do more and more and more.
Well, I think too, for her, it must be like walking through her life when she walks through this museum because you've done such an amazing job at preserving photos from all walks of Roberto's life. Family time, young boy, baseball time, personal time. There's so many hidden gems that we'll eventually see as we walk through that you've really done her an honor of preserving all that for her.
Yeah, and every time that she would come back and start looking at new photos, she would see somebody or something going on in the photo and go, oh, Duane, Roberto, he painted those paintings behind us. And I'm like, no, I did not know that, and thank you. And so I kept collecting more stories, and then I could go find those pieces that she's pointing to or talk to a person in that photo that might have a story or be able to give me some more information to build our tour.
It's her home photo books in your museum.
Yeah, and sometimes you could imagine if it was, photos of your childhood, and you walk in and go, wait a minute, that's on the wall for the public. So once in a while, it might be a little like nerve-wracking for her, but then once she saw it and saw the way I presented everything in the framing and the way I see things, she would be very happy, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Let's go check out some of the awesome things in the museum that we were talking about. Born in Puerto Rico, Clemente became the first Caribbean player inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. For 13 seasons, he set a bar of excellence both on and off the field. Clemente helped the Pirates capture 2 World Series and was named World Series MVP in 1971. He was named to the NL All-Star team every season during his career. Clemente earned National League MVP honors in 1966 and captured 4 batting titles between 1961 to 67. His fielding exploits earned him 12 Golden Gloves from 1961 to 72. Overall, Clemente's career ended with a batting average of 317, 3,000 hits, 240 home runs, and 1,305 RBIs. Other than being a mini Baseball Hall of Fame and an awesome tribute to an amazing human, what's Food Scouts doing at the Roberto Clemente Museum? Shh. The secret's in the basement. All right, so we came upstairs to the museum part of the Clemente Museum, and Duane's gonna take us on a tour and show us all the amazing artifacts that we were talking about downstairs. So I'm gonna let you kind of take over.
I like starting with this because this is like a game changer for us here at the museum, right? We're starting that archive of photos to help Vera. A guy knocks on my door. He heard we started this archive, and he knocks on the door with a shoebox full of negatives that he got out of a dumpster. And in that dumpster was this image I love talking about because the man died an angel, a saint, whatever you want to say about him. Right. But the image has angel wings in the clouds. And it's just like spectacular. I love showing that to Albert Pujols for the first time, and and Pete Alonso and Nick Castellano. When they see that, that's a game changer, right? Now you're paying attention to me.
And for the people that don't know, shame on you, you should know, Roberto Clemente was one of the biggest humanitarians in baseball. He literally set the tone for humanitarian work as a major league athlete. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, and that led us to the Clemente Award that's given out to the biggest humanitarian in baseball every year, right? We give out one to each team, and then we vote, and at the end, it's the #1 guy in Major League Baseball, and it came from him dying in a plane crash helping people.
That's how he had passed away. He was taking a flight to take things to the earthquake victims, and you have something that's behind us that you want to talk about next.
A propeller from the plane. And so I normally go from the angel wings image. Now this is definitely a sad topic here, but it proves that they found the plane. Right. A lot of people come in here and say they never found the plane that Roberto Clemente died in. It's not true. They found pieces of the plane. The plane was sold for parts out of Miami, Florida. It was a cursed plane, and it was never to be flown. And the guy patches it up and doctors it up. That's crashed in the ditch of the San Juan airport the month before the earthquake even happens. And they took his license away.
So that was crashed before the crash?
Yeah. And this propeller was twisted when it hit the dirt in the San Juan airport a month before the earthquake even happens in Nicaragua. Okay.
So the plane had crashed before Roberto had got on it to take goods over for the earthquake survivors. And then they let him get on it after it crashed once.
Yeah, the FAA took his license away and tagged the plane never to be flown, but he doctors the plane up and cleans it up a little bit, hammers out the 2 bent propellers that hit the dirt. That has hammer marks on it. From hitting the dirt. And you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to put new blades on a propeller. The crazy thing is, and the reason I need to have it here is, he's telling people his whole adult life that he's going to die in a plane crash in the ocean and his body wouldn't be found. And all 3 of those things come true.
He knew he was going to die in a plane crash.
The day he meets his wife, Vera, he tells her that we have to hurry up and get married and have the kids because God has a plan for him. He's not going to live that long. And she says yes. And they get married quickly. And the first 2 boys are Irish twins. They're bing bang. And there's the 3
they're very
total.
close in age.
They're boom, boom, boom. And so she said that she felt that God's plan for her was to assist Roberto and to help Roberto. And if that was his plan, then I'm going to help with it. There's a one-of-a-kind piece. That's the home plate from the 71 World Series, right? Where he's the MVP.
Yeah.
To have that. But here's the kicker. Here's what I do when Albert Pujols is here and Pete Alonso.
The big guys.
So I open up this case and I let them swing the heaviest bat in the major leagues. I need to touch that first of all. I mean, some of that dirt for some good luck in my back pocket. But there's one of Clemente's game bats, which is 38 ounces, 36 inches. And you swung a couple bats in your
I have,
day.
actually, the other day.
So you know that that's a heavy bat, right? Today,
just kidding.
31 and a half ounces. That's 38 ounces.
Long.
But what happens with the players now, it's become this thing around the league. Now you're touching the mojo. You're getting the Clemente mojo from Roberto because he swung that bat. So then Albert Pujols hits 2 homers the next day. And I know the Pirates weren't happy about that. But I kind of was. I was.
So he touched this and then hit 2 home runs?
Yeah.
Just
saying. Just saying.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
So I get to, every once in a while, I'll open the case and I swear, because I'm trying to channel Roberto's energy.
Yeah, right. You need a good thing to happen that day. So yeah.
But the players all say the same thing, that nobody in the league could hit this bat today. And I'm like, well, Clemente was 5'10", 175, and he got 3,000 hits with this bat. Right. And they're like, well, he must have not have batted against any good pitchers. And then I get mad.
Yeah.
And then I get mad. And then I tell him, look that up, baseball history. He's batted against the best pitchers.
Right.
And then we have the whole bat rack from the 71 World Series, which is right there. And that's all the players. And he got a lot of the players hitting that Nobla style, very heavy bat.
Yeah.
They followed him. He was the leader. Yeah.
No knob on those.
And that was just his thing that he liked. He just liked the way it fit his hands. He had really big hands. If you see photos of him, his hands were like that.
Right.
And so it just wrapped around there better, and he liked that.
Yeah.
Now the next best piece on this floor is in here, because Harvey was just here with the Tigers.
Yeah.
He brought the Tigers here, and they mic'd him and myself, and we did a little tour, and we talked about the suit, and which he put it on. If you remember, he put this on.
Yep.
And then it became a baseball card at the All-Star game. He was wearing it, which is awesome. And then he got the mojo, and he was on fire. And then he just came back with the Tigers, who he was in a little bit of a slump when he was here. And now he's starting to hit. He's starting to hit, and we put it on him again for their show.
He's going to come back every time he's in a slump and put it on.
I'll have to drive to Detroit with the suit just to let him to touch the fabric.
Okay, so explain the suit to us.
It's probably one of the coolest suits ever made.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah, the collar's leather. It's got this really cool red thread, and I just love the design. Yeah. This was sold at an auction at the Miami All-Star game. We were lucky to secure it. Franco Harris actually helped the museum acquire it. He wrote the check to make sure it came here. Roberto's wearing it at the end of his life. He's wearing it with Bob Prince, the announcer that was known for the craziest suits ever.
Proud moment, though.
It's also non-baseball related, right? It's
personal.
Yeah, and so it means so much to have some of the items here that are Roberto off the field. We've got his gold gloves. You know, he wins 12 gold gloves, and a little, not a miracle, but a coincidence, I carved these, we made these back in the early 90s when we were redoing the building, and we were going to put fire buckets and helmets in here.
Because we're in an old fire station.
You know? And then it turns out we just happened to pick 12 and made 12 of them. Roberto wins 12 gold gloves in a row.
Another one. How many of the little fun facts will we find throughout?
There's a bunch. There's about 10. So we now have 5 of the gold gloves. We're trying to eventually get all 12 here, at least for a show. We would just like to get them here to have them, some of them on loan and just display for a month or two.
That'd be a great picture.
That'd be incredible. They've only been together once, and I was the only person to ever photograph them when I'm doing my calendar in 1994.
I was going to say 1994?
Yep. The best thing in the whole building is the Silver Slugger Award. And the cool thing is, the photo downstairs with him wearing the suit with Bob Prince, he gives this bat that day to Bob Prince as a gift, and Bob was on camera saying it was the greatest gift ever given to him. But at the end, Roberto said, but at the end of your life, that piece goes back to Vera. And it did. Bob's widow gave it back to Vera.
So he gave his Silver Slugger Award away and then said, at the end of life, you have to give it back to my wife, though.
And they did. And
That's
His
amazing.
1961,
And now
his
you have
first
it here.
batting title of his life, gives it to the announcer of the Pittsburgh
cool.
Pirates.
Yeah,
And that's an incredible piece.
that is.
And the wooden bat underneath it is his Momin Clemente bat. He had Momin branded on his bat for 5 years, rookie 55 through 60 World Series. And that's his rookie bat from 55. And that's a great piece. And that was given to us by Thomas Tull of Legendary Films.
That's before you got rid of the...
And that's when he was just starting out, and he didn't find that knobless bat yet.
Right.
And so now it's a knobbed bat, and it's a little lighter and pretty normal. But then he goes to the big heavy bat in 61 and wins his first batting title.
Right.
George Sisler was the batting instructor for the Pirates, and he told him, you want to win batting titles and MVPs, you got to start swinging a little heavier bat. And that's what he did. And he got him on track to win 4 batting titles.
We need heavier bats.
Heavier bats.
That's what it is. Heavier bats.
Heavier bats. We get the players to sign in. It's like my sign-in book
you're
or
like
something.
your wall. People do a wall.
Yeah.
Makes sense. You do baseballs.
And so Albert Pujols is the first person I give a tour to that was a current player in opening day of 2007.
Okay.
And I asked him if he would sign a ball, and he did. And then he got traded to the Angels in 2012. And then he came last year with the Dodgers, and I let him do a blue. Right, for the Dodgers, and he brought Dave Roberts. But we've had, Steve Carell and Eddie Vedder and
it's not just baseball.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in the story behind these photos. Back in the day, first of all, nobody nowadays could ever have. Nobody could look at these reports, right?
Yeah.
And so this kind of tells the story
behind the scenes.
Yes, of what was going on with Roberto during his playing career.
What's crazy is Tony Barterone was a player for the Pirates who was just out of a job. He never went to school one day to be a PT, trainer or anything. Roberto is teaching him how to do it. And Roberto had the back problem. Roberto was in a car accident New Year's Eve of 1954, before he'd even played one game for the Pirates. So he's teaching Tony how to work on his back and other players. And people picked on Roberto for doing a lot of that work, but he was in severe pain. He had a back problem. He also has the record for wearing the Pirate uniform the most. He beat Hannes Wagner, and he's played more games in a Pirate uniform than any player. So people would say, oh, he's faking an injury. Faking or not, he played, he got 3,000 hits, he's in the Hall of Fame.
And back then, they don't have all the things players have now. To support them after playing all the games. You can tell up there, he's in pain.
He's hurt. But this is all one day. This is just one day in his life. These photos were taken by Neil Leifer, and this was the one that ran in Life magazine. These are the 2 photos. I have all the rest of the photos from the photo shoot. And these are the originals, all signed on the back by Neil Leifer. These were given to Roberto in a book, and I found that book floating in a puddle of water in the Clemente house because they were having some water issues. And as you know, Puerto Rico's been getting hit with tropical storms and hurricanes. And so when I find that book, I'm like, okay, I've got to start the archive and do something better for this family. And this was the straw that broke the camel's back.
It's great. This tells a really cool behind-the-scenes story that you would never know.
This is the last uniform that he ever touches. So his 3,000 hit is for the Pirates, and then we go to the playoffs and play the Cincinnati Reds, and we lose in Game 5. That's the last game in the States.
Okay.
He goes back and plays for the San Juan Senators and plays winter ball. However, a lot of people didn't know this till I found this piece of paper. The Pittsburgh Pirates are paying Roberto $20,000 a year not to play for the San Juan Senators. He's allowed to manage. He's the manager of the team.
Oh, wow.
And so that's how he manages. Tom Walker, Neil Walker's father, is a pitcher for the Expos, goes and plays for Roberto, says, hey, Mr. Clemente, he's helping load the plane.
Right.
And he says, hey, Mr. Clemente, since I'm helping you load the plane to go to Nicaragua, what if I help you unload the plane? And Roberto was dreaming that he dies in the plane crash, and maybe New Year's Eve is the night he's really seeing it because his older brother dies on New Year's Eve at the same age as Roberto, 38. So maybe that's why he says, Mr. Walker, no, you can't, you're not coming, stay here, it's New Year's, have some fun. He gets on that plane and is never seen again. So this is the last uniform he ever wears. It's incredible. I have it photo matched. We had it at the Smithsonian for a year. It was in Latinos in Baseball at the Smithsonian. last year.
want
Just
to
got
touch
it
it.
back. That's an incredible piece.
That is
And so these are some of the
good
teams
story.
that he played on. He played his whole career. He played winter ball in Puerto Rico his whole career, all
Right.
18 years. But we know for the last couple, he's
managing, not playing.
Yeah, so this is some pretty cool stuff, especially when people come here from Puerto Rico.
Yes.
And that used to be once a week or maybe once a month. Now, every day, people are coming here from Puerto Rico every day. Roberto was their guy. You know, and they want to come and see it and talk and tell their relatives and take photos. They photograph every piece in this building, every piece.
Well, I mean,
Gets
you can't
photographed.
see it anywhere else.
Yeah.
You won't get it anywhere else.
It's pretty cool stuff. This is going to the Smithsonian next. This is his first contract in 1952-53, where they're paying him to
Right.
play in Puerto Rico $40 a week.
Yes.
That's going down.
$40 a week.
Things are a little different.
Right, right.
And he was the star of their team. Him
Right.
and Willie Mays played together on Santurce CT. So that was pretty. Can you imagine having that in the outfield?
No.
Willie Mays playing next to Roberto?
When you were remodeling the building, let's tell the story about the beam up there.
Yeah,
you
the
can
beam,
see.
the beam.
There's a really cool story to go
Yeah.
along with that beam.
So this ceiling was destroyed when I first bought the building. All these tins were laying down on the wood, and I had to rebuild it. And I thought, boy, that's going to be very expensive. So what I did was I decided to cut a chunk of it out to show the beam, because the beam has Carnegie steel on it.
Right.
And I thought, well, I'm going to cut that out. That'll save me 50 tins or something right there. And my wife's yelling at me because I made a mess. It was very messy, and I was regretting it at this moment.
So you're up in there.
Yeah, and I'm hanging.
Things falling everywhere,
Yeah,
hanging
we're
from a beam.
dirty. And I said to my buddy who was helping me make the mess, why is that beam so large? This building doesn't need this size beams. How big is it? And he pulled his tape measure out, and it's 21 inches. It's 21 inches.
Roberto, 21, preserving this all for Roberto. Another
Connection. Just
connection.
another-
Yeah. Yeah,
to
we're
the
gonna
wine.
go to the cool spot
back.
now, and this is kind of the wind down, no pun intended.
Aha. So this is where I like to, take everybody after the Clemente tour. Sometimes it's, could get long and dry, but I say, hey, let's go down here and wind down a
Yes,
little bit, right?
it's-
And have a taste.
This may be some people's favorite parts of the tour. The word is out.
The word is out.
Now we have entered.
The wine cellar. Yeah.
Wine cellar.
And so we're now underground, and it's kind of like a speakeasy down here. And I've kind of tied baseball with the wine.
Right.
Baseball and wine together. And then we've got some of the baseball members' bottles here, and it's just this used to be where they had horses down here. And we've kind of remodeled the whole thing. This was totally kind of gutted, and we fixed this all up, built this table during COVID. Now people like to sit here and have a little dinner.
Yeah.
And we make the wine back here. We can go back here and we can
All right.
see some of the barrels.
So this is the cool part. So we talked about how you can buy barrels.
Yes.
And then you can decorate the tops how you'd like. So when you see through here, Franco Harris, Bruno, Jim
Jimmy
Leland.
He doesn't even drink wine. He's a bourbon guy.
Right.
He was one of my first. He was a founding member. He bought the first 10 people that bought a barrel. We call them the founding members.
Okay.
He was like number 10.
Oh, hey,
Right?
fitting.
And I'm pretty sure, I'll have to ask Jimmy this, when he gets to Pittsburgh, I think he was wearing 21, but he couldn't do it anymore when he got here.
Oh.
So he ends up becoming 10. So this
Okay.
is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then we've got the infamous, or the
Eddie Vedder.
Eddie Barrel.
That's amazing.
Joined
to
our
me.
club. He came here and sat and spent some time and tasted the wine.
Famous Cervelli.
Cervelli, who loves it here more than anybody, and
Yes.
spent a lot of good time here.
So Vera's
Vera's
Barrel?
Barrel. Yeah, we created that
Roberto's wife.
to help Vera, and it was turned it into like a fundraiser so that we could send her on a vacation.
That's
It was
great.
pretty cool. It was a pretty
That's
cool
really cool.
concept on that barrel. So a lot of good
Yes,
barrels.
A lot of cool things.
A lot of
Some
neat
other-
things. We got Albert Pujols' first barrel. Albert buys 2 barrels of wine. He doesn't even drink. He bought 2 barrels of wine to use for fundraisers for his child has autism, and so
Okay.
he would sign the bottles and use them.
And use them.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Cool.
Sell them in fundraisers and
Yeah.
charitable events.
All right,
And then,
now we're entering. Did you say this is the tasting area?
yeah, this is
Slash
kinda like
hangout
the
spot?
little bar. This is the bar where I pour wine. And it's, everything in here is kind of from the 1800s. Everything, every piece of furniture, including, the Eddie Vedder table.
Yes.
Which is, pretty unique piece because he sat here. We had dinner for Pearl Jam when they were here 2013 after the Pirates win the playoff game, right?
So we need to have him back.
Jason Grilli.
Yeah.
So now we got to get him back in here. Trying to get a couple of the young Pirates over here to get a barrel, get in our club.
Yes, the new guys.
Yeah, we got Coach Sheldon. He got the barrel over here going. So
Yes,
that's all
he
good.
did.
And then I show them usually where we make the wine over here in this part. And we cut through the building, remember?
Yes, yes.
21 inches of stone right here with these steel beams.
Right.
This was 21 inches to cut this opening. We make all the wine in this
Smells
building.
good in here.
In this press right here.
Wow.
It's all handmade.
That's why it tastes so good.
And that's why it hopefully
And why you don't get a
tastes so good.
headache.
Yeah.
And why you can drink it
So,
over and over all night down here.
So that's the nickel tour right there.
This has been great. I can't thank you enough. I hope people feel and see through your passion, like everyone else that comes into the Clemente Museum.
Yeah.
When you're in Pittsburgh, it's a gem. It's a gem that you cannot pass up.